What's up, guys? So welcome back to I Supreme Micah. I uploaded a trailer just a few days ago which explains what this YouTube channel would be about. So what I really want to do in my official first upload is talk about my certifications. My certifications from AWS, Amazon Web Services, are pretty great to have, especially going into 2020 and beyond. I personally got my certifications just a few years ago, and they have definitely paid their dues. I've been able to learn so much, and I just really want to show you this quick book really quickly, and this is the first thing that we're going to pretty much talk about, okay? This is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Official Study Guide. Now, this book here actually is old, and they definitely have, or at least should have, newer versions of this study guide. Now, if you are attempting to get these certifications and start with the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, I would highly suggest that you get the book. Now, going into studying for the certifications, I have had colleagues and friends of mine who's also was able to obtain this same certification, and they did not feel as if the book was very helpful. This current book that I have, there was a lot of old information, and that's not great if you're going into an exam. So if you are going to utilize this book, make sure that you are cross-checking some of the terminology, or at least the study guide that you're using, because you really want to make sure that you're getting the correct information. One of the main reasons why I like this book is because of a lot of what it offers. This book itself pretty much gives you exercises to do. You really want to make sure that you're doing the exercises, and it really gives you a great hands-on experience in AWS. If you're just reading the terminologies and you're not really applying what you're learning from the reading, then it's not going to help you as much as you think. It really helps by doing. Reading is great, but do it as well. Be a doer. So one thing that I really want to talk about too about studying for this certification is that you really want to make sure that you're using other resources. To me personally, in my personal opinion, I think the book was great. I read this book twice, from front to cover, okay? Now, did I do all of the exercises? No. I'm being completely honest, I didn't do all of the exercises, but I did do some, all right? But you want to use other resources to study. Is no difference between if you were studying from any other exam. You're probably going to be watching YouTube, you're probably going to be reading other books, you're probably going to be using your coworkers and colleagues and peers to be able to help out in regards to obtaining all of this information for these exams. There are people who work in these professional positions and they fail these exams, because you have to remember that when you're in your professional field, that you're learning what you know, which is great, but this is an exam. And it's testing you on Amazon Web Services, not your job. As someone who is working in a cloud engineering role, for example, not me, but someone as an example, they may know something in particular to AWS, but it doesn't mean that they know everything. So these exams, it really varies into what it is going to focus on. So if you look at the glossary, it'll actually give you a breakdown of which categories will be the most to the least. It won't give you the exact questions. You can have sample questions, but it won't give you exactly what you need to know, specifically each questions. It also is very helpful because most of these exams really do cover networking a lot. Networking and implementing, it's huge in these exams. So make sure that you know networking and how to implement a lot of this infrastructure and how it works. It's really important. Guys, so one thing I really like about the AWS certifications, at least the two that I was able to obtain, like the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, is that it really tests what you know. If you don't study and you try to go in, it's probably like a likability that you're not going to pass. I'm sure there's probably people out there who works in Amazon AWS, and they probably were able to go into this exam and they were probably able to pass it without studying all that much. But me personally, in my opinion, I studied a lot. So some of the resources that I used was A Cloud Guru. And A Cloud Guru is amazing. They have practice questions that you can actually use up there. And some of my later videos, what I'm going to actually end up doing is going over just a few of the questions that they have on A Cloud Guru and kind of just going through them and just, giving my personal input and feedback on a lot of those questions. So, interesting fact to know about these certifications is that a few years ago they were only actually 2 years valid. Now they changed those to 3 years, which is amazing. 3 years that you have the certification now before it expires. That's amazing. Personally, me, and I'm probably going to save this for another video, but the developer exam to me personally was actually fairly easy. And the only reasoning behind that is because a lot of the questions that they ask you in that actual exam, this actual exam in this book and any other resources in regards to this exam and book, it's covered under that. So if you can pass this, you can pass the developer associate, like me, myself. Now, is it hard? Is the exam hard? Heck yes, it's hard. It's very hard, especially if you don't study and if you don't work in AWS. That's why it's hard. And a lot of people who do not work in Amazon Web Services and they try to go take these exams and you don't do the reviews such as the work-throughs and utilizing your free Amazon Web Services account. If you're not utilizing that, it's going to be very hard for you to picture how this is working in your head. That's why they stress you about actually going in and implementing this hands-on. You want to be hands-on. If someone is asking you questions, it'll actually help you a lot being able to kind of think this out in your head. Or, even if you're in your current job, it helps a lot. So practice what you're doing, practice what you're reading. It really does help. I'm able to work within Amazon Web Services on a daily basis. So that's fun, and it's also a plus, right? The benefits that you get when you actually pass this exam. You get a credit for your exam, so you'll actually be able to pay a cheaper price. I can't remember off the top of my head right now exactly how much it costs, but it probably ranges around $75 or so for the exam. So you do get to be able to take the exam for cheaper. Now, you have to take this exam through a proctor, a test proctor. So that means that you have to go to PSI, a company such as that, to be able to take these exams. They're heavily monitored and very strict. No phones, calculators, nothing. You go in with your brain and pencil, paper, and paper if they let you do that, and I'm sure they will. So one of the main reasons why I think people should be able to pursue Amazon Web Services or any cloud-based technology such as Microsoft Azure is because that's the way of the future. Going into 2020 right now, there's so much things that are going around in technology in regards to cloud-based technology that things are changing, and they've been changing a while ago. The things that engineers were able to implement years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when all of this start to develop, is how things are working now. Working in a professional environment, a lot of people don't get to see the things that go on behind the scenes to be able to get things like this ready. So it takes a lot. And it's fun being on that other side, being able to see things unfold and happen, being able to kind of understand what's going on with the technology, being able to understand and comprehend your skills and terminology. Something else that I really want to take a stab at and let you guys understand is that AWS is amazing too, because you don't have to give up everything that you know to be able to study Amazon Web Services. Network engineers, database engineers, you name it. A lot of them can get these certifications and they can be able to pursue a higher or different type of skill on top of what they already know. Network engineers don't have to lose what they know. Traditional networking is still valid and still amazing in many places, but if they were able to get a special certification through AWS to be able to pursue those goals, then that is amazing. They're making their availability and their skills a lot more likable and a lot more broad, especially going into 2020. And that isn't just for network engineers, that is for a lot of different fields, database engineers, you name it. You really want to get focused, guys, and make sure that you stay tuned for my next upload, where I will go into more detail on how I was able to get my developers associate through AWS and everything that you need to know. Guys, please, if you like what you're hearing and if you like this content, just make sure that you subscribe and you hit the thumbs up button. Thanks.